Hello again. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. So glad you've joined us, taking you into the garage area and talking to the folks to make these cars go around the racetracks. It is a great, great portion of the season. And again, glad you've joined us. Steve Post, pit road reporter for Motor Racing Network, joined as I am each and every week by 25-time race-winning, championship-winning crew chief Todd Gordon. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm doing great. Come back from a Bristol weekend.
Woo, man.
I want to start this one off. Kudos to everybody at Bristol Motor Speedway, the track prep team. All the rain that we had on Thursday and Friday rained out all the practices, and that place was right.
Yeah.
For the truck heats, the qualifying heats,
absolutely.
The cup, all the way through to the cup race on Sunday. End of the cup race at Sunday, we had guys up there running the cushion. We had guys wrapping the bottom. Yeah. I mean, it's just, the track was phenomenal all week.
You know, and I do a lot of, I love dirt track racing. Yeah. And boy, I'm watching and following along on radio with PRN the last few laps of that race, and that cushion is going away. And the thing I love about dirt racing is that there are times when everyone's up at the top, and there are times when all of a sudden it's like, what happened to the top? We were this close, and I've got my fingers about an inch apart. We were this close from that track taking a major turn, and it's the drivers sometimes that make that first move to the bottom of the racetrack or the middle of the racetrack. That's what I love about dirt track racing, and you never can determine when that happens. We kind of had it all, and when we look at the results, the top 6 finishers were all racers with extensive dirt track background. Seems like this year, more than any other year, that came into play.
And everybody's talked about that.
Okay,
the only thing that I would
back
on it is that the top 2 cars on the white flag lap last year were both pretty extensive dirt guys. The guy that won kind of backed into it.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's true. That's true. You're right.
But yes, we saw a racetrack that raced more like a dirt track.
Yeah.
And I think last year we saw some of that as well, but it's another level this year. This place was really racy and one that you could go around. And as you talked about, the guys with the dirt backgrounds definitely elevated themselves. Yeah. The one caveat, most of the race was Ryan Blaney, not a dirt guy, but he was up there in the mix. Last restart didn't really work his way, but
we're going to talk to Jonathan Hassler, crew chief for Ryan Blaney. I actually had someone, I'm going way off the reservation here, but another conversation I had, someone was saying, another good training ground for car control is the Legends cars. Ryan has extensive Legends. You look at Bubba Wallace won a Truck Series race. The Legends cars, they are the local cars that run here.
Joey
Logano, hard tire, more horsepower than you can manage with that hard tire. In that case, at Charlotte and Atlanta, flat racetrack. And I had someone yesterday just say to me, everyone talks about the dirt guys. Let's not forget Legends guys. And that does bring guys like Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace into it as well. So fascinating stuff. The training ground, the experience is good. A couple of guys, best finishes of 2023. Austin Dillon, of course, and Chase Briscoe, top 5 finishes, much needed top 5 finishes for both of those teams.
Yes, give them a head start on going forward. Austin was up there in the top 5 most all night. He was really strong. Got a dirt late model background, right?
Yep,
both of the Dillon boys came through dirt late models, and I thought phenomenal run there. The other one I want to throw kudos out to, and it almost comes from a strategy call, but it carried through, Front Row Motorsports. Todd Gilliland finished 8th, I think, and Michael McDowell ended up 11th, and that's actually got shuffled back there in a late running, but a good show for those guys.
The McDowell 720, twin spins, and I gassed it up and kept on going. Todd Gilliland, I want to follow along. Ryan Burgundy is the crew chief on there, brand new crew chief. He'd not crew chiefed in Xfinity. He'd not crew chiefed in trucks. He was the car chief or car chief or engineer. I forget which was over on Michael McDowell's team last year. So Ryan is a crew chief. He's from up in Connecticut, 10th at Coda, 8th at Bristol. Nice pair of top 10s in the last 3 races. Todd Gilliland, that's a pretty neat little program that's come together well, and it ties in so well. We've talked a lot over the last year and a half about Michael McDowell, and it just seems like those 2 programs complement each other really now. That's good to see.
Continue to grow. They're doing a great job.
There we go. Joey Logano wore them out in the Truck Series race on Saturday night. Holy cow, man, that was a butt-whooping by Logano up there. Cool to see. Thor Sport, of course, you know Thor Sports. David Pepper and everyone puts out good vehicles. But Joey Logano took that good vehicle to victory lane. Fun to watch that race as well.
Yeah. I texted him afterwards. nice job beating up on the little kids. But he put on a clinic there, and took the lead early and just maintained it all day long. It just it was fun to watch, and Ty Majeski runs second.
Is so good.
If Joey doesn't show up in the show, we talk about how really good Ty was, because Ty actually, William Byron was in that 51 truck for KBM, and I talked to Brian Patty earlier this week. They felt like they were a third place truck.
Ty.
You take Joey out of it. Ty Majeski looked really, really strong.
We had David Pepper on last year, and he was kind of like when they started to learn about Ty Majeski, it's like, and I thought this, I thought years ago, Ty Majeski won the Snowball Derby, and I put something on my social media. The fact that somebody in the upper three levels of NASCAR is not paying attention to Ty Majeski. And I know there's so much involved with it. I understand that. But, man, this guy has proven to be something really, really special.
And I love the story because he went to work at Thor Sport Racing, not as a driver. He went back there to be, I don't know if he was an engineer or measuring parts, but worked in the technical side of it, said, I'll work in the shop. I'd like a shot. And they gave him a shot, turned into this. So worked out great.
No doubt about it. So great stuff across the NASCAR landscape. Good times for sure. We mentioned it just a bit ago. Jonathan Hassler is our guest this week on Crew Call. We're going to step away. When we come back, we'll go up to Team Penske and talk to Jonathan. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. So glad you joined us. Todd Gordon and Steve Post. And let's go to the Zoom call. Joining us from up at Penske Racing. Team Penske it is. A native of Greencastle, Indiana. Crew chief for Ryan Blaney. It is Jonathan Hassler. Hello, Jonathan. How are you?
Doing great this morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Jonathan, have you got all the dirt out of the race car, out of the transporter? Are you guys, you got all the Bristol Dirt out of that car and ready to move forward? Are you?
Yeah, we got everything cleaned up, and trying to put Bristol behind us and head on to Martinsville, another good track for Ryan.
Yeah, Bristol behind you. Let's touch into that a little bit more. It seemed like you guys were really good on the longer run. Thought you had really good pace. You were up there fighting in the top 5 most of the night. Seemed like once things got strung out, you guys really started marching your way forward. Were you a little loose to fire off with?
Yeah, we definitely kind of lacked some rear grip to get going. And something Ryan and I talked about yesterday was, we had a lot of those guys, or a handful of those guys that stayed out. And it definitely seemed like, the older tires, the hotter tires honestly fired off really well. So I think that was kind of part of, what we were seeing. So took us a little bit of time to get some heat in our stuff. And then, I think once the cushion honestly started to go away there later in the race, we were in really good position to go and compete with those guys.
3 years into this, what have you learned about dirt racing? What is something that maybe has shocked you or something that surprised? What have you learned about dirt racing?
Oh man. Just that track and that scenario for sure. You obviously, I did a little bit of dirt racing growing up, and you certainly have some understanding of, the track's going to change and you're going to have to change your car to keep up with the track. And that was certainly something that we saw. And, maybe we weren't aggressive enough with a year ago, but we certainly kind of put our notes together and swung big. And I thought we did a good job keeping up with the track all weekend.
How do you, with a weekend like what you had and all the rain that we had, kudos to the track prep team, because I felt like they gave us a great racetrack from the heat races through the truck race to the cup race with all the rain they had. But all of your practice got rained out. And first stab at the racetrack is your heat race. How do you prepare for a weekend like this without having any practice?
Yeah, like I said, we fortunately we had a lot of different scenarios last year with the track, where we were able to go out and make laps and get some comments between 2 full 50-minute practices, where the track last year took a lot of rubber and lost a lot of grip, and then we came in Saturday last year and the track was really fresh, really tacky. So we kind of got that data point. You really just, try to look at all those different data points. And we took a lot of pictures of the track last year and had some idea of, when the track looks like this is probably what we're going to have, and put all those data points together. And so you can kind of, take a look at what you have and make your best decision before you go on track.
Jonathan, we get down to the end of that thing. It looked really, really good. Ryan sneaks up there on the inside. We're getting ready for the restart, and it looked really, really good until it looked really, really bad. Unfortunately, Chase Briscoe got down there As a crew chief sitting on the pit box or wherever you guys sit up there, what's the emotion like in that moment, and how do you personally manage that?
Yeah, I think I think one of my strengths and maybe one of my weaknesses too is that I'm able to kind of move through those situations pretty quick. I think I definitely kind of punched the surface in front of me and was mad for about 10 or 15 seconds, and then that was for the most part, that whole situation and everything that happened is kind of out of my control. Other than talking to Ryan and making sure that he has a conversation with Chase, and we try to sort of get a little bit of respect for sure from him, and do the best to make sure that he doesn't put us in that situation again. But aside from that, there's really not a whole lot that I can do. So try to just put it behind me, and I had a lot of pride in, like I said, the speed that we had and the way we executed through the weekend. So we'll just go and try to put ourselves in the same position in Martinsville.
And you talk about putting it behind you and looking forward. You've got to be really excited. As I look at it, the next 2 weeks coming up, Martinsville and Talladega. Martinsville last year, I think third in one race, fourth in the other, scored stage points in every stage at Martinsville last year. And obviously your Speedway program, something to look forward to. Talk a little bit about Martinsville coming up.
Yeah, like you said, this whole little stretch as part of the schedule is certainly a huge opportunity for us and our team to go out and hopefully get a win and get ourselves locked in the championship. And Martinsville for sure has been, it was really good to us last year. Ryan's always ran really well there. So we've continued to kind of iterate on our package, and we definitely had some weaknesses last fall that I feel like we can go and address and be a little bit better this time around. So I'm certainly excited about the opportunity ahead of us.
Do you think that the aero package change will have an effect, will be noticeable here at Martinsville? And what was your take on Richmond, which is probably as close as we've been to Martinsville with this package?
Yeah, Richmond and Phoenix for sure. We definitely had some noticeable changes to things that we needed in our car. I think the racing at Phoenix maybe wasn't drastically different than maybe what we had last fall. It was a small step, but I think certainly at Richmond, you noticed a little bit of a change. Thought the cars were able to run a little bit closer together. So we definitely, and there's things that we learned that our car lost a little bit of this or a little bit of that at Richmond that we maybe didn't expect. That I think we're able to kind of learn and put in our notebook and take to Martinsville.
One of the things with Martinsville that we saw last year, I'm expecting we're going to see it again. A lot of shifting. As you look at your simulation, is that still going to be part of the driver routine a couple times a lap and really working through 400 laps this year? So it's a little bit shorter race, but is that something you expect to see with the cars this weekend?
Yeah, 100%. I think as long as you're out there and trying to make lap time, I think you'll be shifting, every lap, every corner. There may be some instances where, if you're maybe in a position to ride that maybe you can not shift for some duration of time. But for the most part, if you're out there trying to go fast, you're going to need to be shifting.
Last year at Martinsville, especially the spring race was frigid. Being a night race in April, I think it was 41 degrees or something like that. God. It seemed like it was really cold. The fall race wasn't much warmer. The forecast looking forward is in mid to upper 70s. How do you think that the temperature will change the race we see?
Yeah, I think we had a new tire last year between the two different races, and even though the temperatures were similar, there's a lot more rubber on the track in the fall. We were able to test that different tire in the middle of the summer last year. And the track took a ton of rubber. So I think, we're gonna see a lot of rubber on the track compared to what we've seen in the past. And, maybe even to the point where you're going to see some, noticeable, more than just a smear, you might see noticeable chunks of rubber on the track. And I think that's definitely going to, make some different lanes play that maybe didn't in the past.
How does that affect the car? Cars get tight when they get on that rubber and they have to search, or what happens there?
Yeah, typically just a loss of grip overall. So tend to be a little bit, freer into the corner, tighter in the center, and a little bit freer off. So definitely just takes away overall grip from the race car.
Man, oh man, that all sounds good from the race fan perspective. It sounds like you guys might have some variables there as well.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say is I've been there when it rubbered up with Blaney. You didn't, because you didn't get that last year. But yeah. He's really good at wrapping that curb underneath the rubber. Just saying, it'd be fun to watch.
Oh yeah, we talked about the weather a little bit and the possibility of the track rubbering up, and he's certainly excited about the opportunity to go run in that condition.
No doubt about it. So we get done, we roll up at Martinsville. Maybe you come out of there with one of those famous grandfather clocks. That'd certainly be the goal and everything like that. No matter what happens in Martinsville, you roll into Talladega. Boy, I am telling you what, your driver, your team, your preparation, you guys really seem to have a pretty good arms around this super speedway thing.
Yeah, I give Ryan a lot of credit, for that. I think, he's able to really just kind of survive and choose kind of when to put himself in those high risk conditions and does a good job of staying out front without taking a lot of risk and it tends to be kind of up there towards the end and I feel like we tend to be try to be pretty aggressive on the strategy and make sure that we do everything that we can to keep him up front. And he does a good job handling the rest. And I give, our spotter, Josh Williams, also a lot of credit. Josh and Ryan do a really good job working together at Speedways.
Yeah, I got to work with both of them. They do it very well. If you look back, obviously Daytona, all the Fords had speed. Atlanta, the Fords had speed again. You guys were another level above where the rest of the Fords were. Can you talk a little bit? I mean, I don't want to give you trade secrets out, but overall, like you guys your speedway program seems exceptional, especially at Atlanta, and I would expect that to carry into Talladega.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously the each of the manufacturers had some changes in the off season, with the nose and louvers on the hood, that I think, ended up kind of shuffling the deck a little bit in terms of kind of, who had, ultimate kind of low drag capability. And we were definitely, the benefited from that. And, we've always at Team Penske kind of focused on having a little bit of handling in our speedway cars. And I think that certainly, showed at Atlanta, where we had, a pretty good combination of speed and handling. And, typically Talladega is a little bit more of a, straightforward, all out, bring your fastest piece to the racetrack kind of race. So I'm certainly excited about the opportunity we have.
Jonathan, you mentioned new noses on the cars, and we've talked to some folks in the Toyota camp that are wishing for they had a little bit more along the way. The manufacturer parity, where are we at now with that? How does that balance out? Where in just your assessment of where we're at with it? Yeah,
I think it's like I said, certainly maybe flip flopped. I think a year ago you'd have looked and the Toyotas were, hands down the fastest cars and kind of single car speed at Daytona and Talladega and those places, and the Ford struggled. I think it's 180 right now, and Chevrolet is still kind of somewhere in the middle. You've seen the Toyotas be a little bit stronger at the mile and a half racetracks where the Fords were strong a year ago, and we've struggled. So we've definitely taken a little bit of a step. Have to work a little bit harder in places where we maybe didn't have to work as hard last year. And so we'll, just kind of continue to take it race by race and try to, be a step better at each and every track, the next time we go.
And to kind of help the listeners that you and I understand this really well, drag and downforce tend to be tied together inversely, right? So as you get to be a little slicker on straight ahead, you don't tend to have as much pushing the car down the racetrack, right? And that you feel like last year, I from what I heard and what I saw, the Fords last year had a fair amount of drag, but they had a little more downforce than the others, and that played in places but hurt you in others, and that's kind of flip flop as you're talking about.
Yep, 100%. Like you said, it's really hard to make one without the other. So that's kind of the hand we were dealt for this year, and we'll certainly do the best we can to maximize what we have.
We know you will, that's for sure. Final question for you. We've the last 2 years I've had you on Crew Call, we've talked about music. I'm going to go a little different topic. You've got two young sons, Wesley and Ethan. All right. What are they into? Either of them into racing? What are your boys into?
Yeah, my wife and I certainly, we love skiing in the off season. So we've definitely gotten, both of our boys up on skis. Wesley is just kind of starting to get into, team sports. He's 2 years into baseball, a year into soccer. And we just started the racing thing, this year. We've been kind of doing a little bit of a rental kart league once a month, and he's taken to that really well. And I've definitely enjoyed doing that with him.
Boy, I'll tell you what, always something with the kids, that's for sure. Neat stuff. Jonathan, always great to catch up with you. We appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here on Crew Call.
Thanks for having me, guys. There
we go. Jonathan Hassler, Team Penske for Ryan Blaney, joining us on Crew Call. Stay with us, more in just a moment. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Todd Gordon and Steve Post. And boy, I'll tell you what, I love catching up with Jonathan Hassler. They have been so close. They won the All-Star race last year. But boy, I think this is a team that keeps putting themselves in a spot. The win has got to come with as good as they've been.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great combination. I think it's a group that they've been close. They've just had situations happen, and they continue to work through it. I think it's going to be, when it happens, I think it'll become almost a relief, and then things become more normal. So next 2 weeks, I think, are great places. I feel like Ryan and I gave away a couple clocks at Martinsville. So I've talked to Ryan a lot about that. Really good there. Talked about it with Jonathan there, but Ryan is, especially if this place rubbers up. Yeah, Ryan is exceptional about wrapping the curb underneath the rubber. He's really good at it. Like, people watch it, notice it, just can't do it. But he's good at it. Be fun to watch and see what they do this weekend.
Well, you mentioned it. I actually got a chill when you mentioned last year's weather at Martinsville. I'm not sure I'm warmed up yet. Fortunately, and of course, we're recording this on Tuesday, but fortunately, we're going to have more heat than we've had in the past. That's for sure.
Yeah, looks like mid to upper 70s. Chance of rain on Sunday, little sprinkles or something. But if we can get this, even if it's cloudy in mid 70s. Place will take rubber. It'll be exciting to watch what happens. I think that's a lot of the perception last year about our short track package and was early in the season. We went to Martinsville and did a night race in April at 40 degrees outside. Yeah, it never takes rubber at that point. Yeah. Goodyear can't make a tire that'll lay rubber down there. So they changed the compound, as Hassler talked about there in the meeting, and that lays a little more rubber. And they did do that as a summer test, and it laid a lot of rubber then. So we get rubber down this racetrack, the place is going to get pretty wide. I think as it gets wider, the shifting actually is going to play into some of that. Well, it'll be an exciting race.
Should be really, really good. Yeah, it was funny last year as it went on. What was wrong with Martinsville? Denny Hamlin was all about shifting. Kevin Harvick was 41 degrees.
Yes,
and they're both accurate. We're going to eliminate the 41 degrees this time, and that's the good thing.
And I think the other part is you keep in mind that in April, shifting was kind of new to all these guys.
Too, you're right. Yeah,
they're used to it now. I mean, they've got a year. They got a year plus of shifting in the bag. But it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
400 laps, a little shorter than we've been up there.
So they started that last year.
I thought they did.
Fall's race was 400, but yeah. I remember going to Martinsville. The first time I went to Martinsville in the spring, AJ Allmendinger, we qualified like 24th. We got about we're plugging our way forward. We got up to the top 10. I'm like, we're in great position. Holy crap, it's only lap 250. Yeah, we got another half of the race to go now. It's just it's such a long and grind of a race. And 400, I think, is a good race for this race. Right. I mean, 500 in the playoffs, that's what we need.
Gotta go do it for 500 in the playoffs. That's for
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Motor Racing Network going to be very busy this weekend up there. Friday night it kicks off with the Long John Silver's 200. How about that for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday, 4:30 in the afternoon, NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying, and at 7 p.m. the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Call 811.com before you dig 250. Rolls right off the tongue there. And then Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. airtime, NASCAR Cup Series, the NOCO 500 for the Cup Series. Can't wait to get up there. Martinsville, I have shared with anybody on any show, my favorite track on the tour. Love going up there, and really anxious to see what we have this weekend. I think we're going to have a good time.
I've always loved racing there. It's going to be exciting to be up in the booth.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. You join us up there. So going to keep you busy, that's for sure.
Going to make all 3 races.
Hopping, for sure. It's going to be awesome. Yes. Yeah, the truck's there, Xfinity there. It is fantastic. Motor Racing Network all year long, all week long, weekly shows. NASCAR Live, our Tuesday night tradition. Mike Bagnally and all of us participated in that one along the way. You got to catch that Tuesday night. NASCAR Live wide open because we can't fit everything into the 1 hour on Tuesday night. We've got additional stuff wide open. That's a podcast that comes out on Thursdays. NASCAR Coast to Coast, covering the roots of NASCAR. That is out on Wednesdays, I believe it is. Chris Wilner and Kyle Rickey do a great job with that. Wing Nation, we talk sprint car racing. And, of course, this NASCAR Crew Call. Subscribe, like, share. If you like what you see here on Crew Call, share that with your folks. Share that with your people. That's how it's done these days with all the cool kids. That's for sure. And get out to the racetrack. My gosh, it is great on the radio and it's great on TV, but it's better in person. Martinsville Speedway would be a great spot for you to go this weekend.
And if you go to Martinsville Speedway, tune in to the MRN broadcast.
That's right.
We broadcast locally on your scanner.
Get your racing electronics scanner, get that reserved, tune in, and there is the caution period.
Entertainment.
And I'm going to put quotes around entertainment. It's
good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
so
good.
We have a great time. We really do. So we'd invite you to join us at Martinsville this weekend for sure. So we appreciate Jonathan Hassler joining us here on the program. But more important than all of that, thank you for joining us here this week on MRN's Crew Call.